petition findings or proposed findings from the district, and so we're going to have a discussion about them in the 3 sections that they came. Before we start, does anybody have any more questions that they wanted answered that they didn't get answered the last time around? Sure, go ahead.
Out of the 9 kids who are transferred into Spring Branch ISD, how many of them go to the intended feeder pattern that the Thornwood section would go to?
The 5, is it 5?
We have 5 on record. Our records show 5, and I don't have the list in front of me, but 4 of them for sure are not at their elementary age children, and they're at Meadowood, not Nottingham.
Okay. Okay, so the first section of, sorry, go ahead.
Petitioners also submit findings. I'm just saying that we've had the chance to review all of them.
Right. We have reviewed the petitioner's findings. We've had those we've been given those a number of times. I know we've all read those. So let's talk about the district findings that we have in front of us right now. The first section is just factual about the petition that we received, what the date of the hearing, that we advertised appropriately, we published advertisements, the code that it applies to, and that Katie did do a resolution basically finding that the petition was filed per the law. Does anybody want to discuss any of these findings?
That's 1 to 8. 1
to 8, that's right. Everybody in support of those findings? Anybody have any issues they cannot support those findings? Okay. Now we'll go to the social effects. That's 9 through 25. So we all just reviewed these again. I know we had a couple of days to digest them as well. We've heard the presentation. Does anybody want to specifically discuss any of these particular findings? Does anybody have any issue with any of these findings, or they cannot support any of these findings? Any discussion on any of these findings, 9 through 25? No? Okay. Taxable property and economic effects, number 26 through 40. These all talk about the impact that the change in boundaries would have on our taxes, the current rolls, Robin Hood payments. It talks about the required ratio if Katie's board did not support their separation. Does anybody want to discuss is there any of these that somebody would like to bring up for discussion?
Yes. Well, I'd just like to make more of a general comment that
okay.
largely ties into these. And I appreciate as a community member the concerns and everyone coming out, the concerns they've expressed for community, because I do think community is something that matters in Spring Branch. I also know that right now our largest issue that we faced in the legislature the last time were our financial issues. Our community is very concerned about our tax base and our recapture payment. And last year, for instance, our tax values rose by $25 million, but we netted only 5 because we had to write a $10 million recapture check, and the state reduced our funding by $11 million. And this year, our recapture payment is going to be more than $35 million, which is just a huge, tremendous financial hit, and it's something our community has been very concerned about, and it affects not really only economic issues, but social and emotional as well, because it affects what we're able to do for our students. I mean, some of our biggest concerns of parents are wanting to reduce our class sizes, and we've just been struggling with our budgets to not be able to do that. So when we talk about finances, it's easy to say, that's not really that, but really that touches every single aspect, social, emotional, and our future ability to provide services. So that, I just wanted to mention that's how these findings really play into that. And then I think the other part in terms of, I think our job is to review the social, emotional, and educational, and it's our job as trustees for all of our students and residents and taxpayers. But we also do have an obligation to follow the law. In terms of the law makes, I mean, that's our obligation as trustees, is to do what we think the law commands, and if the law specifies that a certain ratio has to be met, that's an obligation that we as elected officials, I think, are also should be responsible for. So those are my comments. Thank you. That's findings.
Yes, Bob?
I've
So
got
you
a
want to say
question,
something?
Chris. Yeah, it's more of a question, and we have to back up to finding 23. And I think it's a question for Jennifer Blaine. It has to do with the 33 students. My question is, do we have availability at Nottingham to accommodate the 33 students in Thornwood sections 2 and 3 that would like to be in our district? Do we have that kind of?
I don't know what grade levels the 33 are in. I don't know that all 33 of them are elementary age students at Nottingham, so I don't know that I can answer the question without knowing what ages and grade levels those children are in,
Okay.
those students are in.
No, I understand.
But all of those students would have to would become SBISD students if we were to grant
That's
this
correct.
annexation.
Yes, that's correct.
Can I just
Catherine?
ask an additional, I know we quote basically the 25, 2016 when we're talking about the financials, but is there a long-term projection of continual effect? I know you might have talked a little bit about it, but can you elaborate?
I think she's looking for the net effect of
Net
the
effect.
change.
The net effect would change based on how much the values go up every year
Okay.
and how many students come into the district, whether they go to private school, come into the district. So it's really hard to define that number, but what we do know is that 33 students and 55 million in taxable value, that's almost 1.7 million per child. So we do know that that raises the wealth per student, which would automatically increase the payments to the state, which would also increase the payments that we're already making from existing SBISD tax dollars. It would increase those as well.
Thanks for clarifying that.
Okay. Any other discussion on any of these other points? Okay, so is there any discussion on any of the petition items that were not mentioned in the first section of these findings, which basically finds that the petition was submitted by law and met all legal obligations? No?
Yes, I have one very minor comment to number
Okay.
25. I think
Okay.
it should be educational as opposed to education.
In Katie's, in the petition, the original petition,
Oh, no, I'm sorry, the administration.
on the administration's.
Are we gonna work through section by section? Are we gonna work through section by section for discussion?
We can do, well, I'm just asking if there's anything specific that you're calling out, because I know a lot of it people were.
Yeah,
So
so
if there's a section you want to call out, please,
I think that, if I may,
go
that
right
there's
ahead.
been a lot of discussion about the transfer options and opportunities that exist within Spring Branch, and yet we don't have an equivocal inter-district, is that correct? Out-of-district transfer with KDISD, right?
Right.
So though children within the Thornwood section can choose to attend, or their parents can choose for them to attend Spring Branch schools, and there's transfer requirements, and I understand the concerns about requesting those transfers. What I've heard us say is that Nottingham Elementary does have space right now, that there's an interest in transferring there, that that's an available option. But on the flip end, when I consider the high school students, if we were to approve this, we would see that high school students who are currently attending Taylor High School would be forced to attend one of our high schools. Again, similar to our transfer options within the district, one of our high schools possibly, or possibly the new zone school, Stratford, but that they would not have a choice. Am I reading all of that correctly?
That is, that is correct. So students in K does not have a out of district. In other words, they don't take students from other districts as transfers into their district. So based on their policy,
Yep.
and the way that it reads right now, no, if those students would then, if they were zoned to Spring Branch, would then be forced to go.
Required to go to one of our schools.
Correct,
And
correct.
possibly sit out for athletics
That
or
is
whatever
correct.
that
Yes.
becomes.
So in other words, 24 of the 33.
Yeah, that we don't know about, right?
We don't know if they're,
Either way.
Okay, any other discussion points on the items? I've got your edit to correct that word use. Okay. So, no other discussion on any of these items. Okay, so I think what we're going to do is confer with our lawyer one more time before we move forward. So we'll adjourn to closed session under Texas Government Code 551.071 to consult with our attorney on matters allowed by the law at 9:02 p.m. And then we will